Hi everyone, today I'm sitting with stylist and fashion designer Brea Stinson. Brea has worked with a long list of many of your favorite artists, ranging from Justin Bieber, Willow Smith, Usher, and Rita Ora, just to name a few. First off, I'm gonna say how much I really appreciate that you took the time out of what I know is your really busy schedule to come and sit and talk to me today.
No problem.
Obviously you have, many different talents. In order to be a stylist, you have to have vision and you have a great eye. What do you call yourself?
I think that I've morphed over the years. I've kind of evolved from dreaming of being a designer and getting into styling in order to get my designs put out there, and now everything seems to have come full circle, and I totally consider myself a fashion designer now.
You've styled so many people and you've designed. What is it that you really enjoy about what you do?
I would have to say, coming from the styling end of it, where you work countless hours and the production may end up being 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, and you've worked 24 hours, maybe sometimes a week on one project, and then you get to the end of it and you only see maybe 10 seconds of your work. Whereas now that I'm designing, I can actually see my creation go from a sketch to the actual stage, and that's one of the most rewarding feelings that I've ever experienced, and to be able to do that over and over again is really great.
What's the first thing you worked on where you're like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I do?
Well, the styling I kind of fell into because I was trying to get my foot in the door, like I said, to get my designs on people.
Right.
One defining moment that I can really think about was when I worked as an assistant stylist during Fade to Black with Jay-Z, the film that he did when he was supposed to retire. Mm-hmm. The stylist that I was working for, she was, we were all sitting around having a round table, and she was like, what can I put him in? What can I put him in? Right. And I'm like, we should take one of his lyrics and put it on the back of a jacket in the form of embroidery. And I was kind of obsessed with tattoo art at the time. And so we found the dagger going through the heart, and we did the death before dishonesty, which was something that he had repeated over and over again through his albums and through his career. And I'm like, once he sees that, he's gonna love it.
Right.
So she took that idea, she actually did the blazer with the embroidery on the back. And not to say that the industry totally jacked off my concept, but after that, there was like a series of clothing lines that came out, like Ed Hardy and Christian Artiget, and then there was another one where they were just using a lot of embroidery and jackets with embroidery on the back.
Right.
And like I said, I can't say that they totally stole that idea from me, but what it told me is that I had a good insight on trends and what was to come.
Right.
And so that's when I really knew, when I saw him in that jacket, and that jacket became like an iconic moment for him. But when I saw that jacket on stage, and just the fact that he chose it and it was something that I came up with, and also that trends in fashion started to go in that direction, it let me know that I was thinking the right way and that I should take it more seriously. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this for real.
Right. Well, you just took me right to the next question. I mean, when did you decide you wanted to be a fashion designer? Because that's what your goal has been over the years. Was it as a kid, making clothes for your, what was that point where you're like, this is what I'm gonna do?
Well, look, I had a couple things on the table, because my first choice was to be Diana Ross, but Beyonce kind of filled that slot. So my plan B was always to work in fashion, and I was always creating as a kid. Like, I had Barbie dolls, I had a lot of Barbie dolls, but I would change my Barbie dolls and morph them into Salt and Pepper or JJ Fad or whatever was happening at the moment. My mother's like, what are these Barbies doing? And I'm like, they're not gonna look like how I got them. I can't be playing with the same thing everybody else is playing with. So I used to cut their hair and make clothes for them. And then also, my grandmother was very influential in my development in the arts. Like, she was the one person that kind of took me on the weekends and put me in art classes where I learned how to sketch, I learned how to paint, learned how to draw. And she took me to museums, and then when she was sleeping and didn't want to be bothered with the kid, she let me play with sheets, and I was able to cut them up and make stuff. And I think we talked about this before when we interviewed on the website, and she allowed me to make this outfit, and I had the bright idea of hand stitching this thing together and then going outside to double dutch, and it fell off. So that was like my first experience in wearing one of my own creations, but it didn't deter me.
Right.
And after that, I would have to say high school. I was sketching and designing dresses for all of my friends for homecoming, and 3 of my friends got dresses that I designed made. And so I actually got to see that, and we all took pictures together, and that was like a big moment for me to let me know that I was kind of on to something.
Wow, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it was exciting.
When you're designing, what serves as inspiration?
I would have to say the struggle. And that may seem crazy, but it's really true, because in some of like the darkest times of my career, or just places in life where I've been disappointed or just not in the best space, you feel like, your back is up against the wall. But out of that comes some of the most creative things that I've done, or the idea to get off my ass and change the situation. And through that, has come out with a jacket, or come out with just an idea that would allow me to be in a position to go to the next level, or a piece that would give me, the encouragement to keep going.
Right.
So I would definitely have to say, like, hardship is my place of inspiration.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's so important, because I think those are the times that you really get tested, and those are the times when you could either keep pushing because you still like reach that much further into yourself, and
it's sink or swim. And in the industry of fashion, if you don't kind of keep yourself involved, you disappear.
Right.
Out of sight, out of mind. That's the way this industry works. I've been fortunate enough to keep my hands, in it throughout the years, and also grow within it.
Right.
I'm grateful for that.
Wow. Yeah. And that's what, women need to know, what girls need to know, is that number one, there's the options, and number two, you're not always going to be encouraged, but it's not about other people giving you the encouragement or the validation.
Oh no,
it really comes back to
you. And then
the
the flip side of that is real life happens.
Right.
You get your heart broken. You might have clients that don't pay.
Right.
And those things can affect you in so many ways. So, like I said, those are the times where I've really had to kind of like go within, and out of that comes something nice.
In terms of being a woman, one of the questions I've asked everyone who's done this is, often, especially you work with artists who are in the music industry, so you're very much a part of the music industry.
Yeah.
Typically the question is, well, what kind of obstacles have you overcome? And we know as women there's always the obstacles, but my question is more so, I want to emphasize the positive. So as a woman, what do you think you bring to the table, and how do you think being a woman has actually worked in your favor?
Good question. I am a Cancer sign, and if anybody knows anything about Cancers, we're super emotional and nurturing. And in styling, it's so intimate with your client. You actually become sometimes a confidant, or the person that's just there with them through their most pressure-filled times, like right before they go on stage, when they come off. So you're that voice of reason, and sometimes that last bit of encouragement that they receive before they do phenomenal things in their career. So I think naturally I'm a nurturer, so that has helped. And then also I got kind of like a kooky personality, and I will say that has taken me far, because people tend to relate to me, and I'm just really empathetic. You know what I mean? I'm totally empathetic to everybody, even outside of my clients, and I think that goes a long way, and that little touch of relatability, or however I'm supposed to say that, I think that has helped me. And I don't know, I'm super feminine too. So I think men in general, they gravitate towards that.
Right.
And so that's helped.
Is there a location that brings out your creativity?
I come up with a lot of ideas right before I go to bed, and I used to keep a notebook on the side of my bed, so maybe my bed is my place of inspiration, because I'm comfortable there, and I love to sleep. You shouldn't sleep, and I don't get much of it these days, but I would probably say my bed. And if we could put a time frame on that, I think that I'm most creative like after 12 midnight. I'm not a morning. Yeah, I'm not a morning person. Right. I don't think my true personality kicks in until like 5 p.m., 6 p.m.
Yes.
But after 12 is like when I've come up with some of the things that I think are the dopest ideas.
Yeah, we are 100% on the same page with that one. Are there people that you maybe heard about that you look up to, or that you've met that you look up to?
Ooh, they say you should never meet your heroes. And as far as women that, you know, inspire me.
Or anyone.
Yeah, Oprah, for sure. And I'm sure her name is gonna, you know, ring through many of these episodes. But yeah, she can't be denied. But she's a person that really inspires me, just with her business decisions and just her influence on people and actually like touching lives and not just being rich.
Right.
I would also have to say I admire Jay-Z, and that's one person that I've met and that I've dealt with on a one-on-one basis, and just his relation to people is humongous, and as brilliant as he is, he's very personable. And I can say the same thing about Will Smith. And through my career, no matter how big it gets, I would still like to be relatable like that. Those two dudes really get it, and they surround themselves with really smart people, and I want to kind of keep my circle like that.
Is there a particular goal that you would have accomplished where you feel like, okay, like I've really done exactly what I set out to do, like my goal has been achieved and I'm there?
I would have to say presenting at New York Fashion Week. I think that's when I'd feel really accomplished as a full-fledged designer. And then after that, I'm sure it's going to be something else.
Right.
But as of right now, presenting at Fashion Week in New York is it.
From your story and from everything you said, I mean, I have no doubt that that's going to happen.
Well, I feel like we grew up together.
I hope I can, you know, get a seat in the room somewhere.
Absolutely.
You know, might not be the front row. It's fine.
No, we can do that.
But you know, somewhere in the room.
No, like I said, I feel like we've grown up together. So we've seen each other like evolve and transition and go from the East Coast to the West Coast. So yeah, you'll be there with me, and I'm going to be there with you too.
Okay. It's like we have to have Brea because you're perfect for this. You definitely are someone who, you know, it's your talent that's gotten you this far, and this is not an easy industry to be in, to navigate in, and to really, for people to really see who you are, you know, what you're made of. And so that's what this is really about, the Rebel Lioness. That's what the whole vision is. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out, because I know you're busy. And
good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go.